How's it going? It's Matt reporting not live from the workbench because we're recording this anyway. So today's topic that we are going to kind of cover and give you a basic overview is your bulk carrier group. So the bulk carrier group is quite literally the beating heart of your rifle. So you should know what are some options to put in it. So some better options, some not so better options depending on your use case. So the first kind of big section that we'll cover is your coating on your bulk carrier group. So there's some big ones. I'm not going to hit them all because there's tons out there. I'm just going to really hit the big ones. So the first one we'll go over is definitely the one that you're going to see the most, and that is your phosphate bulk carrier group. So this one is the mil-spec coating that you'll see. Definitely one of the cheaper options. By no means is it a bad option though. So some of the pros and cons of a phosphated bulk carrier group, and I'll add pictures here. So you'll be able to see pictures as I go. So a phosphated bulk carrier group, some of the pros are, one, the price point. They are a very approachable bulk carrier group. You can find some for $100, which is amazing. And they're still a good quality bulk carrier group. We should have some from CAC. So another pro of phosphate is they are relatively easy to find. They're not one of those very unobtainium bulk carrier groups. You will usually find a phosphated bulk carrier group in any shop that carries AR parts. More than likely you're going to find a phosphated bulk carrier group. And they are proven. The military uses them. I won't say that they're the best, depending on use case. Another great thing about phosphated bulk carrier groups is it is a very porous, the metal itself is very porous. So what that means is any treatment, like with JB80 or any oils or grease, those pores are going to suck in all that oil, so it will retain that oil a lot better than some of your other coatings, which we'll talk about in just a second. Some of the cons of your phosphated bulk carrier groups is because it is a very porous metal, it not only grabs and holds that oil or grease or whatever you're putting on there, but it'll also grab and hold a lot of the carbon that will accumulate from firing. So that leads to having to sit there and scrub your bulk carrier with a toothbrush or a rag to get all that carbon out, and can be very annoying at times. I mean, any of you military guys know getting those things clean is not a fun time. So that leads me into our second category of bulk carrier group, is the nitride bulk carrier group. So this is definitely one of my more favorite treatments of bulk carrier groups or coatings. This one isn't actually a coating, it's a case hardening of the steel itself. And the advantage to nitride is because it's a case hardening of the metal, one, you don't have those pores in the metal, and then also you get a higher natural lubricity from a nitride. So you don't have to use as much oil or grease or whatever you're putting on your bulk carrier group for these things to run nice and slick. And then also because of that, when you go to clean it, it typically just wipes clean, so you really don't have to sit there and scrub all too much. You can just take a rag, put some solvent on it, and just wipe it clean, and you're done, which is awesome. Cons wise, I mean, nitride bulk carrier groups, you will have to do a little bit more looking to ensure you get a quality one. Just because there are some companies out there that do less than stellar nitride bulk carrier groups, where your phosphated ones typically have a little bit higher of a QC level. So kind of a pro and a con there of your nitride bulk carrier groups. They're also incredibly affordable, very similar to phosphate, maybe a little bit more than your phosphated, but still very approachable, especially given the economic times that we live in. So next up is I call them your competition coatings, because that's really where I only recommend them, is in competition rifles, is going to be your nickel boron and your titanium nitride bulk carrier group. So easy way to distinguish them is your nickel borons are going to be a very shiny silver color, and your titanium nitride are going to be those gold bulk carrier groups. So the reason I really only recommend them for competition is because of the coatings they put on there. They're not really meant for very hard use. They're really made to be very slick, which they are. It's one of their biggest draws to them. So they're incredibly slick, so you don't have to put near as much oil or lubricant on your bulk carrier. But because of that coating, they tend to wear out quite a bit quicker. So you may need to replace it more often than some of these other bulk carriers. Not saying that they're gonna go after 1,000 rounds, but as compared to phosphated nitride, they are a lot less durable in terms of the coating. So again, really competition based. And then the last two coatings I'll cover are going to be kind of a little bit more niche, and those are going to be NP3 and hard chrome. So NP3 is it's almost like a molecular bonded Teflon is the best way to put it. Incredibly slick, incredibly durable. I actually just got one myself and been doing testing on it, and I have nothing but great things to say about it. And then chrome, very similar in terms of properties, in terms of lubricity and durability. It's actually the original coating that Eugene Stoner wanted on the bulk carriers on the original M16s. The biggest con to either of those is one, price point. So they are going to be at a noticeably higher price point than any of your other coatings that you will find. And then availability. So finding them, even if you're willing to fork out the cash for them, can be an issue sometimes. There's not a lot of companies making NP3 bulk carrier groups. I can only think of 2 or 3 off the top of my head, CAC, Psionics being the big 2 that I've seen available in the past year. Hard chrome, again, same thing. They're just going to be a little bit harder to find and usually more expensive. So make sure that you really find the right coating for you. Again, typically with most people, nitride or phosphate is going to be what I'd recommend, depending on what they're looking for in a bulk carrier. And most people, I'd say, would lean nitride. So now that we're done with coatings, I'll dive into some of the materials used for bulk carriers, specifically bolts. And there's 2 big ones that are kind of the main manufacturers are using for their bolts. And the first one is Carpenter 158, and the other one is going to be a 9310 steel. So Carpenter 158, that is going to be your mil spec material for a bolt. Definitely tried and true and proven. It's been used all over the world. Very durable metal. The 9310 bolts, you'll see a lot of companies, especially with enhanced bulk carrier groups, they'll go to a 9310 bolt. And the advantages of going 9310 versus Carpenter 158 is when done properly, when treated properly, 9310 is, from as I understand it, about 7% harder. So you do get a little bit more durability of that bolt. That'll be up to you whether it's worth that 7% or not. You'll see a lot of people debating online of 9310 versus Carpenter 158. I'm going to be perfectly honest. From what I've seen, even how I shoot and how a lot of my friends and coworkers and customers shoot, I haven't seen a real difference in terms of durability. That being said, with 9310, if you are going to go that route, making sure that you buy a bolt or bulk carrier from a reputable manufacturer that has good QC is essential, because that durability increase is only there if done properly, if treated properly. So make sure you do your homework if you are looking at a 9310 bolt. So kind of moving on to the next section, we'll kind of hit some of the enhanced bulk carrier groups. And there's a few out there. There's some that I have experience with and would recommend. There's others that, I'm going to be perfectly honest, I don't know where the enhancement comes in. So the bootleg one, something like this guy, there's actually a little adjustment right there on the bulk carrier group for shooting suppressed. So it has 4 different points of adjustment to actually regulate gas, because it has an extra bleed off in the bulk carrier group itself to bleed off a lot of the excess gas before it gets to your face. So it's a great alternative to say an adjustable gas block. So you can do this and go suppressed to unsuppressed on the fly. You can just use a wrench or a flathead screwdriver, not a wrench, or even a shell casing. So can highly recommend this guy. They come in nitride, phenomenal bolt carrier. The other kind of enhanced one, and I don't have one with me, so again, I'll add pictures, is the CAC K-Spec BCG. So instead of having a extra bleed off in the bolt carrier itself, it actually has down vents instead of side vents. So that gas, instead of being vented off to the side, will vent down straight into the magazine for suppress shooting. And it actually, CAC put out the actual data from the lab, and I'll add that as well, to show that it does actually decrease the sound signature of your rifle overall, because it's not as high pressure gas just shooting straight out of the air. It's going straight into your magazine, kind of dampening that sound. A lot of people will say it's going to dirty up your mag quicker, and I agree with that from my experience, because from my testing, it really, I can't see the difference between shooting regular suppressed with a standard BCG and with a case-spec BCG in terms of your magazine getting dirtier. So granted, I don't have a whole lot of rounds on it, still kind of going through testing phase with it, but so far I haven't seen very much of a difference. So, but can highly recommend that one. It's a phenomenal bolt carrier. So kind of getting some other bolt carriers that are enhanced, and I say that with quotes for a reason, like the Geisley bolt carrier, the Radian bolt carrier, a few others that aren't like lightweight special ones. Those are kind of in their separate category, and I'm not going to hit those today. With those, I'm going to be perfectly honest, and please let me know if you know. Don't know where the enhancement comes in. Like they seem to be just a standard nitride BCG with just some more angular cuts or something like that. I don't know if they use a different steel in the bolt carrier or do something different, but as I understand it right now, and please do correct me if I'm wrong on this, they're really not worth the additional price as compared to a standard nitride BCG, a standard phosphated BCG. I can't see the benefit to them. There is one more that I'll hit on. It's the Surefire OBC, I believe it is, the optimized bolt carrier. If you can find one, because they are incredibly hard to find. From the research I've done, I haven't got my hands on one to test it. They actually did something rather neat, because it comes as a kit with a shortened buffer, its own spring, as well as a modified gas key to actually delay the unlocking of the bolt, so it vents more gas out the muzzle, which is very neat. Again, I haven't tested one. Everything I've seen from guys who shoot them, they said they're phenomenal. I don't even know if Surefire is making them anymore. They are fairly expensive, so as of right now, it's not even worth looking into, I'd say. But yeah, please let me know if you've shot one and what you think of it. So we're always happy to accept feedback, and let us know if we're wrong on anything too. So that's gonna finish it up with bolt carriers. Please let us know if you have any questions on any of them, and we will see you next time.